I always like conflicted.
Um, we have the one and only uh Walter, aka Clip
Yeah.
Art Menace.
Yeah, like I said before we started this call, I'm been running on espressos and Benadryls because of freaking allergies over here in Texas. My eye is like going crazy. So I'm in that weird like I'm hyped, but also I'm chilled,
Right.
which
You're
I do love
tweaking.
that
You're
feeling.
tweaking,
Yeah,
right?
it is a good feeling. I love it. I always tell people I'm like, yeah, Benadryls and coffee, man. It's good. Good creative vibe. Like you're productive but also chill.
Right.
And then yeah, I took a gummy which I think is just now starting to kick in. I had a big plate of pasta, so it's
No, the
a mini
pasta, when the pasta hits, that's when
it's
you
maybe the pasta's hit, yeah. So and there is lore. I describe it as like
Right. No,
you have
there's very clearly lore. That's for sure. Can we just recap this for 1 second?
yes, I'm Clip Art Menace, Walter, previously known as Boy Graphics, which is then became Good Boy Graphics, which then was killed and became Graphic Slayer, which then was sacrificed, became Lord of Graphics. Lord Graphics, we were talking about earlier, being born from a really strong mushroom trip, waiting in line for 3 hours for a COVID drive-through test, which didn't happen. But I was stuck in a car, and I think I even pissed in a bottle because I had to pee really bad. But it was, and yeah, I mean, I was like we were talking about. It was like seeing the Matrix unfold on that trip. It was just really strong. But that I tell a lot of people, a lot of my Lord of Graphics original works, I think capture a lot of those feelings that my head was at, and now I kind of Lord Graphics has ascended, and now I'm reborn as Clip Art Menace, and now I'm just he's kind of he's a menace, and now
Yeah,
I'm
he's
just
a
kind of like
menace.
the way I kind of look at Clip Art Menace is it's a rebirth of Good Boy Graphics, but in different contexts and circumstances. Now it's like not it's not good. It's very I don't know. And luckily all this lore kind of accidentally played out. People think like, man, did you have this 4 year plan, like
Right.
5 year, 6 year plan? And I was like, man, it just all came naturally. Going from Good Boy Graphics to Graphic Slayer, and then Graphic Slayer being sacrificed. And then now it's the Lord of Graphics, and it's taking all that, and it's like as I kind of start seeing that, I kind of like, well, why don't I just like get in, keep carrying this lore, and then good Clip Art Menace and the lore. I forgot to mention, yeah. So at Clip Art Menace on Instagram, and then also on Instagram at Neo Clip Art, which is all the free. There's a link in that bio to the Google Drive that has the Boy Graphics, Good Boy Graphics, Graphic Slayer, and Lord of Graphics work that was all free during those eras, and and then I have Spirit of Graphics, which has kind of been like
Yeah.
what exactly that is. It's just the spirit of Lord of Graphics, but just kind of is now kind of in this like I was inspired by a lot of vintage grunge Christian T-shirts I was looking at on eBay, and I was like, man, I kind of just want to do bad graphic design, and I'll just start a new account, kind of channeling these like basically all those designs have been like kind of channeling that old school night, like vintage bad small business, church t-shirts. And the thing I've learned over the past from changing my name is nothing happens in terms of people are always scared to change their style or change their name, and I'm like,
Mm,
do it, because
right.
if you're feeling something else or getting vision something else, or like going through different phase, follow those feelings because there's a
Right.
reason why you're feeling that. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how you grow. And really what's crazy and just really lucky and fortunate is my you know following, people who like Mar has grown each, incremental each time. And I gain new people, and then I'm sure I lose people too, because people sign up for one thing and now they're seeing something else. I'm sure I can't imagine what it's like following where you're like, what the hell? He's graphics later. He's Lord graphics now. He's Clip Art Minutes. Because I grew up in the internet. I was born in 1985. I was there with the birth of the internet, and
Mm-hmm.
I made GeoCities pages, fan pages, and was on AOL and AIM. So I was really transitioned into it, and I've always been that person who I always say the good stuff is hard to find.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like, and because that, even on the internet, I still am trying to dig and hunt for the stuff that you can't find. It's like
Mm-hmm.
when I used to go to like in late 90s, early 2000s, I would go to the comic book stores or to the CD warehouse, and you're in the dark corners just trying to
Right,
find
right,
cool
right, 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 right.
shit
Yeah.
of the people, kind of like what what you're like where
Mm-hmm.
we're at right now. Is we're in that, we're in this the hard to find scene, and
Mm-hmm.
that to me is the best place to be, is where all the cool shit is. And that's another thing I realized too, is reaching out a lot of these people. A lot of these people don't have maybe the connections that you want to give them. Like, and that's another thing I realized when I was doing a lot of commissions or really doing the free art. It's like, man, there's a lot of people who make music but can't do the art stuff, and they want something to
Mm-hmm.
put on their track to upload. Why don't I make some cool free graphics that they can put on there and throw some other effects on whatever app on their phone, and then then that way they got something cool to attach their artwork to music, and then that they normally couldn't have made themselves. And that's why I always tell people, is like, someone out there needs what you could do because they can't do it. And that's where
Right.
really a lot of the connections at the end of the day come from. Is I always think about in the future what my artwork's going to look like. And a lot of it, I think, within the mindset of like what it's going to look like in 20 years. And a lot of it, I'm sure, is
Mm.
going to be looked back at like, which might be, hopefully is what I would like to think, is like my artwork has kind of been part of this new music scene, and what has become what the what people in the future, like I remember Igugo said, he was like, I hope I become that artist that some kid finds on YouTube in like 100 years. And I was like, yes, that's where I kind of want to be. And that's where I think it's like it's just like a lot of the music albums we look at on YouTube or discover old cool classic Japanese whatever records, and those people are no longer around. They have no idea how much they've impacted or influenced people, and I kind of hope I leave that kind of behind. And I think
Right.
that's why I've given away a lot, and still kind of do. I'm still kind of, anyways, but whatever. That's, but I also kind of now got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I appreciate where I'm at, like you said, and the people, and I'm lucky to be even in this thing. But and just keep doing what I'm doing, and like I always say, a lot of the stuff that you're shooting for will come naturally if you just keep at it, keep
Mm-hmm.
grinding. A lot of the artists that I look up to, or a lot of these grandmasters, like H.R. Geiger or Hajime Sorayama, and these
Mm-hmm.
people are like, were in their 70s, 80s still making art. And that's what I try to tell
Mm-hmm.
people. I'm like, hey, these people, there's no end game to this.
Right. There's
you
no
know?
right, 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 right. There's no end game to this. This is a
Yeah.
practice. You are going to do it until you die. I mean,
Yeah, and
maybe, but like
sure.
I do think that that's kind of an important way to think about it. Is it you can't think about it in terms of like, oh, I'm doing this because I want to get compensation. Like, yes, getting to a point where you can develop a business of some kind around your art is a cool aspiration, but at the end of the day, the reason why you're going to stop doing art can't be because, oh, like, I'm not going to make any money from it. It's because I'm not
Right.
feeling this anymore, right?
Yeah, you're doing it for the wrong
That's
reason.
and
Yeah.
like that I think is a big part, is like kind of learning to like put all of this blood, sweat and tears into something that, yeah, might not reward you like at all.
Right.
It might just like, but at the very least, and I tell people this with art, I think too, at the very least, it's like you will always have like this world that you've built in your head. You will always have like these
Yes.
characters
Yeah.
and this stories and these myths, and like that will be beautiful in and of itself, and that
It,
will anchor you to your life in all these
yeah,
interesting ways, you know.
and it will inspire to influence the people that you might not even ever meet, know, or whatever. But that's I think a lot of people don't maybe it's hard to comprehend like how much we're actually like influencing or touching or inspiring or reaching. That's one to say, hey, you got to think about the long game, man. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
gotta freaking, you're gonna remember, you're gonna have to keep doing this for the next like 50, 60 years of your life. So like, I'm never gonna stop creating, and then two, um I'm just keep going. And then yeah, I might be a little busy, but since always reach out and send me music, send me art. That's the thing. If you follow me on Instagram and Twitter, all I do is share art and share other people's art and support anybody who's making cool shit, because that's what it's all about. And yeah, feel free to ask me any questions too. Give me a DM. I'm totally open.
Hell yes. So yeah,
This has been amazing. I really appreciate you even reach out,
oh,
and I'm
thank
glad
you.
we worked on something
Mm-hmm.
together. I know, and I it's cool to even be having this conversation.
Yeah,
So this
no,
has
thank you.
been
Thank you so much for
pleasure.
coming on and sharing your process and just being, authentic and being yourself. Cause I think,
Thank you.
yeah, this was certainly a very interesting conversation for me. I had a lot of ideas about how this conversation might have gone, and like none of them happened because you like started tweaking like immediately upon turning the call on. Yeah, no, thank you so much. And yeah, there's gonna be some content in this one for sure. So yeah,
Cool.
I'll edit the YouTube, I'll send it to you so you can approve it, and yeah. And who knows,
Alrighty.
maybe I'll be seeing you around.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
hey, and I'll be keeping watch what you do. I'm always, like I said, I'm always, I'm watching everybody. I'm
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. I'm look, I love it. I love it. Keep creating. Keep
Mm-hmm.
creating, man.
Keep creating.